friends. Can you all hear me? Oh, now you can hear me. Ooh, I'm loud. I'm loud anyway without a microphone. I told them I don't need it, but they're like, yes, you do. So microphone it is. When I gave myself a 5-minute alarm when I need to wrap up. So what we're going to do, I'm September Tribble with the Stop Trafficking Project. We are so glad that you are all here tonight. There are a few seats up here in the front for the brave. Hi, everybody back there. How are you? Good. We're so glad you're here. We are so glad you're here. We are going to wrap up right around 8:15 so that the kids can come in here with us. And Russ is going to share some things. He's the presenter from the Stop Trafficking Project that's in with the youth right now. You probably know him if you go to church here, if this is your church home. If it's not your church home, we're very glad that you're here visiting. I am as well. And we are going to get started right away so that we have enough time for everything. Lord, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here together tonight, that we can be alert, that we can be concerned as a community about our kids and keeping them safer, Lord. Please help us to rise up and be those workmen on the wall who are relentless, fighting together for the welfare of our children, Lord, because you have created them, you love them, and you have good plans for them, Lord. We thank you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Okay, we'll get this out of the way immediately. Yes, my name is really September, and no, I was not born in September. Okay. I figured we always get that out of the way immediately. So what do you notice when you look at this young man standing here? Anything catch you? Like, yeah, he's looking through a peephole like this when he has a whole window right there, right? He's like, you can't see me. You notice little kids do that all the time? Did you have a kid that did that? My littlest, my baby boy, he'll be 23 this year. He would go and he would hide behind the towels on the towel rack. You can't see me. But guess what? I can see your legs. But that's okay. We won't tell anyone. So, I don't know what happened. There we go. We lost him. But this is also just kind of how we want to think about the worldview. And sometimes our kids, it takes about 219,000 hours for the human brain to fully develop. So our kids are going to be 25 years old before that happens, right? Until then, they've got a little bit of tunnel vision going on. Their little brains haven't developed all the way yet, and they're not thinking always about long-term consequences. So it's really important for us as the adults in their lives to be the ones that are sharing with them and being there for them. So we're going to start off and talk about socially acceptable addictions. We don't have those, right? Oh, maybe we do. Okay, so let's talk about it a little bit. Maybe video games. That's one that people tend to think of really often, especially for our kids, but it's not just the kids, you guys. Look, we have predators and perverts and pimps that are using the video games that our kids are on to try to exploit them. We have marriages that are breaking up over gaming addictions because someone's not paying attention to their spouse anymore. They're always on that device. So devices and technology can be wonderful. I want you to understand we are not anti-technology at all. We are pro-technology. But here's the thing. We need technology to protect us from technology so we can use technology, right? That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Okay, so here's another problem that we have, pornography. We don't like to talk about that very often, but we have to because it is bombarding our world. And our kids and our adults don't have to even go looking for it. It's looking for them. It's looking for you and trying to target you or bait you. So we'll be talking more about this tonight and what a problem it is because there's a very popular website. It's called Pornhub, and it is one of the largest producers of pornography. And what's happening is, as you can see, the top line there is United States consumption. Wow, right? We are mass consuming. This is one site, y'all. Out of all of the sites that are out there, this is just one. And in 2019, they had 42 billion views of the material on their website. And in 2019, top country, there are searches that would blow your mind that define what people are looking for when they're looking for these images and videos. And then also, you need to understand it's not just men. This is a growing problem for women as well. We're living in a society that's saying, it's just a body, it doesn't matter, it's okay, this is fun, this is cool, it's recreation, it's healthy. And that is the lie that's being sold, and it's not talking about how it impacts the brain and the heart and the soul. This doesn't just happen on computers, it's primarily happening on these little devices, on the phones, right? But it also happens on gaming systems. And Pornhub during the pandemic even came out as philanthropist, couldn't get the word out, and said they wanted to help flatten the curve. They were going to offer premium content for free for people who would stay home and social distance to keep the world safer. Wasn't that nice of them? No. Very selfish, right? Because they are wanting to get money from this. So this is a suspect that was arrested. We had a young girl that was missing. She was 15 years old, and she was found after several months. And when she was located, there were multiple videos of her exploitation that had been uploaded to this adult, socially acceptable site that so many people go and visit every single year. So if you look, you can see these high points are the traffic changes during the pandemic. The last time they posted any of their statistics, because normally, listen, they are so proud of what they do. They post all of these infographics every single year to show how many people are coming to their site. But what happened is after that, there became a pushback nationally and internationally against them to shut them down from putting this content of kids that were being exploited, of kids that were being raped for profit. That's not okay. And I know it's hard to hear that, but we need to call it what it is, because if we don't know the truth, we won't try to fight against it as hard as we should, right? And so we need to be fighting against this. And so over 2 million petitioners joined the petition to shut them down, and they are facing consequences now, and they're no longer promoting their data, and they said they're promising to be transparent. We still have not seen any new data from them. So we just need to understand that there are some socially acceptable addictions that we all face, and maybe it's being a workaholic, maybe it's the phone, maybe it's, who knows what it is, right? Coffee. That one's mine, I'll confess. What do these all have in common? They create a release of dopamine, right? They make us happy. And so they have the potential to become chemically addictive when they're misused. And so we need to be aware of that. And then we need to talk about, okay, how does that tie into human trafficking? Well, let's talk about that. Human trafficking is force, fraud, or coercion for someone for the purpose of exploitation. And did you know there are 26 different types of human trafficking that have now been identified? The one that we're going to be focusing on tonight is domestic minor sex trafficking. When it involves our kids and they're under the age of 18, no force, fraud, or coercion need be proved because they're children and they can't consent, right? They might think that they can, they might be told that they can, and they might be saying, oh, no, I want to do this, I'm making this choice, but they're not capable legally or psychologically yet to make that consent. So here is what I want you to remember. If you don't remember anything else about this topic tonight, I want you to remember that exploitation of vulnerability is what it always boils down to when we're talking about any type of trafficking. Exploitation of vulnerability. It's not about empowered choices. It's about exploitation of vulnerability. There are multiple risk factors. They can come from society, right? Highly sexualized, saying, oh, it's great, it's all cool, go ahead. Environmental around us, and then within the individual. Their chemical makeup, trauma that they've experienced. One of the victims said, it's not a choice. No one wakes up and wants to do this. You can't just walk away. That's the thing. Some people will come into this life willingly, thinking that they're making a good, empowered choice, but they don't know exactly what all the details are of what they're signing up for. And whether someone gets dragged into the arena because they're looking for glamour and treasure, or because they have been tricked or coerced or forced, that outcome is the same, and that person is a dignified human who deserves our concern. We'll be primarily focusing on the children tonight, but it's not to say that children are the only worthy victims. It's to say that almost every victim I've worked with in the past 11 years, over 400 that I have talked to or know personally, all but 3 started being sexually abused as children. Okay, so we need to realize that we've got to back up. So often we're focused on triage, which is good, of victims, but let's step back and prevent. And that's what tonight is about, okay? So let's talk about demand and what that looks like, particularly here in the greater Kansas City area. Here's what we have going on in Kansas City. In 2009, the Independence Police Department, in concert with the FBI, did a sting operation where there were no real victims. They put decoy ads online, made it clear through the language that they were offering very young girls for sexual acts. Here's what the results were. They had over 500 phone calls in just the first 24 hours. That's demand, right? That's people wanting to purchase that. Here's what we're facing in the Kansas City area. In Children's Mercy Hospital, we work closely with them. They are ranked in the top 5% of the United States for the volume of sexual assault victims that they see. That's out of all hospitals, pediatric hospitals, adult hospitals, mixed populations, top 5% in the nation. And they're a children's only hospital. Again, hard to hear. We're not here to make you feel fearful, but we are here to make sure that you know the facts of what's happening. On average, a sane nurse is a sexual assault nurse. They are seeing 1 to 2 acute cases every single day. Acute means it's happened in the last 5 days or less. I want to tell you something. As a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, I did not tell anyone until I was an adult. It doesn't commonly come out in the first 5 days. This is the tip of the iceberg that we're seeing. This is a problem in our society that we need to be aware of. Arizona State University, because they know how hard it is to know how many victims are there, because I have to tell you the truth, most of the time victims don't even know that they're being victimized. Okay, they don't consider themselves victims. And so Arizona State University conducted a study in 15 cities across the U.S. Kansas City was one of the 15 that they selected, knowing that there was an issue here. They ran decoy ads. They conducted research, and there were a lot of factors that went into the bottom line. But here's the bottom line. In the greater Kansas City area, what they found is on any given day, over 106,000 men, or 14.5% of our male population, is online searching to purchase sex acts. Wow. That's hard to take in. Now, we need to remember that means 85% are not, okay? Men, we are not here to condemn you. We are here to say thank you. Thank you for being here. And our good men, what we need is for you to be better men and speak out against this issue, right? Be the best man. Be the one that's speaking out and making a difference and a ripple, and we'll talk about how to do that. Demand is high in a demand-driven business in Kansas City, and we want to make a change. One of the biggest ways that we're seeing our kids be lured in is through social media apps. Social media apps in and of themselves are not bad. I have grandchildren in other states. One is all the way in Alabama, and just yesterday I was a pizza face and he was a corn on the cob, and we had a great chat online on video, right? You can do a lot of fun things on social media and on apps. So again, we're never anti-technology. It's how do we use the technology that we have. Now, you don't need to become an expert on social media apps. What you need to become an expert on is your kids and the kids that are in your life that you have influence and impact with, okay? So we'll tell you a few things that are going on that we're seeing. Snapchat is one of the most problematic social media sites that we're seeing because our kids think that that image disappears right away and that it can't be captured or that it won't be seen again. But that's not the reality. And we've had multiple kids come up and tell us stories of how images that they sent on Snapchat have been captured, and then they have been what we call sextorted. They've been told, if you don't give us more images, then we're going to share this with your parents or your friends or people at school or people in your youth group, whatever it is that will be most distressing for that child. And then they don't know how to get out of that situation. We are seeing issues where kids come up to us. This is actually a picture that Russ took of a student's screen on their phone while he was at a school doing a presentation. The young lady came up and said, "This is what is coming into my phone while you're speaking." Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm not going to read it all to you, but you can see that they are trying to get nude images of whoever this is going out to, and they're sending this out in mass text. So it is a real issue. This is another student who came up and said, "Check out what I'm getting right now while you're doing the presentation." This is what was coming in. Omegle, it's a site where sexual predators can use this app because there's personal data that's available on the app. It's a video chatting app primarily. Some kids are on it, some adults, some people are, some people aren't. It feels a little safer because you're identified as you and stranger. And for our kids so used to video games, that can feel a little like a game that they're playing, and they don't understand the risks of that game. Kick Messenger. If you've heard a kid say, "Kick me later," they're not talking about kick me later. They're talking about send me a kick message. So that is another video type app, pictures, and so it's very common for the content on there to be very sexual very quickly for our kids. Ask FM. This is where you get to ask anonymous questions of people that you don't know about your deepest, darkest insecurities. What could possibly go wrong with that? Right? I don't care if you're an adult or a kid. I don't want those anonymous answers from people I don't know, because it might be somebody who's nice and caring and has information I don't, and it might be a troll. It might be somebody who wants to cause harm or just create an issue. So our kids are really struggling with that. Now, Tinder, some of you may know what it is, some of you don't. It's a hookup site. It's a hookup app. It is not generally considered to be for actual relationships, but just a sexual hookup. Yeah, our kids are on it. That's concerning, isn't it? They think that they can kind of role play, pretend to be a little bit older. We've not only had girls tell us stories about this, but we've had guys come up after presentations, boys from high school, junior high. We had a student come forward and talk about the fact that he was hooking up with a beautiful woman, and she was sending him messages, and at first Russ was thinking, oh, it was probably a catfish, right? And he's like, no, it was really her. I really met her. I mean, we really hooked up, but the fourth time that I was supposed to meet her, I arrived at the house to hook up with her, but there was a house full of men there waiting for me instead. So it's kind of a bait and switch type operation. So we need our kids to be aware that not everybody is who they say they are or is going to do what they say they're going to do. Down, this is on Facebook. Are you down to hook up? Are you down to date me? It allows you to classify friends into groups that you would be down with hooking up with. So it kind of normalizes that whole hookup culture that's going on. Scout, it's a flirting app to meet new people. So here's the problem. Ages aren't verified on this site. And there's a teen version, has slightly more safety features, but again, it's still a flirting app. It's still a way to flirt with people that you don't know. Meet Me. It's an app that uses GPS so that you can know people are nearby. What could go wrong with that? These are not good things for our kids, especially, right? We can see those dangers. There's no age verification. It's linked to the Facebook account if they have one. Now, a lot of our kids don't have Facebook anymore unless they have it just for parents and grandparents to see and connect with them a little bit. Blender, it's another flirting app. Videos, pictures. They have friends lists. They rate the hotness of their friends. Guess what they want to be? Do you think they want to be hot or not? Hot, right? So send me a hot pic, babe. I need to see you right now. Okay, there's GPS. Users are not authenticated. Predators can find minors. It is really an issue that we're seeing. Chat roulette, this is one where when you open it up, you're just surprised. You're video connected with someone. You don't know them. You have no idea where they are. You have no idea if they're going to have clothes on or not. You have no idea what they're going to be doing when that video camera comes on. So you can see why that's a problem. Monkey is one that our kids tend to be on more that is just like that. I went on Monkey to kind of check it out and see what was happening with youth. This is actually a screenshot from a YouTube influencer. He was using Monkey to video connect for random rate me calls, rate, on a scale of 1 to 10, and he's going through, and the girls that he's connecting with, he set it to females, he's put an age range, and then he's asking them to rate him on a scale of 1 to 10, and he pops it up, and he's recording on YouTube, which most people don't realize they're being recorded on this short video app, and he comes up to this girl, and if you could see her face, you would see she's maybe 11, 12, not in the age range he had specified, but she lied about her age, not because she's a bad kid, but because she's a kid, and she wanted to be cool and connect with the older kids, right? And so he let people know, hey, I realized she was young. That's not the thing I'm doing. But we've had other instances where YouTube influencers are using their influence to get hot pics. And we recently had a YouTube influencer who went to jail for that very reason, because he was collecting pictures and videos from his followers. TikTok. Everybody's heard of TikTok? Yes? Very, very popular. Very fun. Can be so cool. Can also be so dangerous, especially for our kids. It's not just the sexual content, it's the stupid dares that they're doing on there too. Maybe you've seen that in some of your news feeds or in news stories on TV. You are immediately public the moment you sign up for TikTok. There are a lot of vulgar videos that are available, and they're unprompted. It goes through and it starts suggesting videos. And so, it has kind of an algorithm, and YouTube does that as well. Even on their children's YouTube, you have to be very careful, because those algorithms, the people who are creating them know how to trick the algorithms and start pulling kids in to videos that they normally wouldn't be looking for. TikTok, this is a little 7-year-old girl. She had a private TikTok account. The parents went in, they did all the settings, they set it to private. She could only connect with a few kids that they knew from school, that the parents knew as well, and some family members. And then, so here she is, little Jessie, and she gets a message, and it's actually, her name is Maddie. She gets a message from Jessie. Hi, how are you? What are you doing? Hey, I'm fine. How old are you? I'm 7 years old, Maddie says. Jessie says, oh, I'm 9. Send me a photo. Maddie sends this cute little photo. Looking nice. Send me a pic without your t-shirt. Most requests for sexual content will be within 7 seconds of connecting with the child. Make some pics without t-shirt. I like to see your body without t-shirt. And you can almost hear this little 7-year-old innocent, I can't. I'm not going to do that. Yes, you can, and the pressure continues. And she is this far away from her mom in the kitchen. Mom is cooking dinner, and Maddie's right here, but she doesn't know what to do. And she's connected with somebody she wasn't supposed to. Should she tell mom or not? Dad walks in and sees that she's messaging, and Dad is a police officer. Dad gets on there and says, stop messaging my child. I have your IP address. Cut it out. But this was shared virally because Dad is a police officer. Mom was 5 feet, 6 feet away from her 7-year-old while this was taking place in a home where they're exercising safety and they're having conversations and they're setting it to private. Okay, so this is where we have to know as parents, we can't just tell our kids one time, oh, that's probably not safe, don't do that. Okay, we need to be sitting there with our kids. I took my daughter out for her birthday, and my little grandson, that's 3 at the time, he's 5 now, he was with us, and he was watching some little dinosaur videos on his YouTube kids account while we were kind of talking, waiting for the food, and he always has to sit by somebody and make it where you can see the screen, and he's sitting by me, and he's all cuddled up, and he's watching his little dinosaurs, and then I start hearing this seductive sounding music, and I look down, we now have dinosaurs and women in lingerie. on kids' YouTube, okay? So it's very important that we be paying attention because this technology is meant to be good, but it can become a prison for people if we're not careful. And it has features where kids can be groomed and exploited. And we'll talk more about grooming tonight. Here's what some of the kids have said about being online in their online life. My parents don't know is that kids are getting bullied. There's a lot of inappropriate things and nudity. A lot of the kids have secret accounts or send inappropriate things. This student says, it keeps me connected to my extended family, and my fake account lets me express my opinions and frustrations. I'm often manipulated to think that if I stop talking to people, they will attempt suicide or something. We actually had a student who shared with us that when she was in the 3rd grade, a boy that lived nearby that rode the bus with her had told her if she did not send him a picture without her t-shirt, he was going to kill himself. She didn't want her friend to die. She didn't know what to do, so she sent him the picture so that he would not kill himself. This is legitimate things that we are hearing from our kids as we talk to them. What my parents don't know about social media is that I have a secret rant account and I talk about my mental health. I also have internet friends that mom and dad don't know about. So online sexual predators, their choice target ages are 11 to 14-year-olds. Because they're in that stage where they're not little kids anymore. And they're like, I know what I'm doing. You don't need to tell me that, Mom. That's so stupid. You don't understand about social media, right? Okay, because they think that truly we don't. And guess what? Sometimes we don't. Do your kids know more about computers and technology than you do? Or your grandkids, or your nieces, or your nephews, or the kids in your life? Most likely. So that's why we need to be alert, and we want to end it before it starts, okay? If it's happened, we should take care of it. We should help people, but let's back it up. Let's end it before it starts. So here's what we want to be alert to with our kids. We want to be alert to them feeling lonely. They can be not alone and still feel very lonely. Have you ever sat in a room full of people and felt lonely? I have. It happens, right? And for our kids, they've never been more connected through devices, yet less connected in real life, right? Those relationships that they build online should supplement the real relationships, and they can start to usurp the life that they have with real people surrounding them. Be alert to kids when they're feeling isolated. Like, I'm the only one who has this problem. I'm the only one who's ever been through this. Nobody else understands. You just don't understand. Like, I went to school today, and there was fish sticks, and we had a pop quiz, and it was awful. And now I'm going to go online. I'm going to talk to my friends that are my real friends that I've never met or seen their faces, and I'm not sure if that's really them in the picture, but they're my best friend, right? Okay, and they don't think that through. And it's not just kids, y'all. I can't tell you how many times I have had adults come talk to me, or adults that started dating someone or married someone that they met online, and it wasn't quite who they thought it was, and they found that out later. So we all need to be careful about that. We need to be alert when we start seeing our kids be more of risk takers. Now, our kids are going to do things, right? They're kids. They're going to. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But when we start seeing patterns of risky behaviors, and that can manifest in a lot of different ways. It can look like shoplifting. It can look like food disorders. It can look like substance abuse or addiction. It can look like unsafe relationships. It can be that high-speed driving or texting and driving. And some of that is just because, again, the brains aren't all the way developed for those long-term consequential thinking and outcome, right? But it can also be because there's something happening in their life that we're not aware of. Some type of vulnerability. Remember that. Exploitation of vulnerability. And that is what a pervert, a predator, or a pimp is going to be looking for in our children. They're going to be seeking how they can exploit those vulnerabilities. Be alert to depression. We have seen an uptick in this, and there can be a couple reasons for that. It could be because there's so much more that our kids are facing in this world. It also could be because there's better identification and there's less stigma, so it's being talked about more. Please understand that there are kids that actually, and humans and people and adults that actually have chemical imbalances that cause depression. It's a real medical condition. And then there can be situational depression as well. So be alert to that, and that can be a real issue. Be alert that we are seeing an increase in suicide. Last school year, the beginning of the year, started off with a 4th grader choosing to die by suicide, thinking that was the only answer, right? We have an enemy who wants to kill, steal, and destroy. And so we need to make sure that we're sharing the truth and that death by suicide is not the answer that our kids are looking for. And so if someone says that they're thinking about that, if a child in your life or someone that you know, please take them seriously. Most people are not saying that to get false attention. They are needing attention from their friends and the people who love them to what's going on in their life and the struggles that they're facing. Be alert to cyberbullying. Oh my word, we've seen an increase in this, where you'll have someone who comes on and says, my life is terrible and I'm just not even pretty and I just don't think I want to live anymore. And then there are trolls and bullies that will come on and say, do it. Kill yourself. I mean, it's not a nice world sometimes. There are great people out there, and we don't want to lose faith. And keep in mind, right now we're talking about kind of the ugly side, right? So we don't want to lose hope. That's not what we're doing. We're not here to create fear. We're here to tell you the truth, because here's what's happening. While Russ is in talking with the youth, when we talk to our kids and we tell them the truth, they respond. We always have a line of kids waiting to talk to us after we do a presentation to share the struggles that they're having in our life and to feel like it's okay to talk about it finally. I'm not the only one. There are caring adults, and that's why you're here tonight, right? So that we can be those caring adults. We can be the safe space that they come to. Sometimes parents will say, well, I don't want to invade the privacy of my children. Well, guess what? A pimp, a predator, or a pervert will happily invade the privacy of your children, okay? So when you feel that sense of something's wrong, right, we trust, but we verify also, right? That's very important, so keep those things in mind. Controlling relationships are on the rise. That can be within a friendship group. It can be within a romantic relationship. Our kids are facing this from a lot of different avenues. It can be emotional, psychological, spiritual, physical, sexual, financial, verbal, online, right? They don't even have to have met them in person necessarily to gain that control. And we'll talk about how that happens through grooming as we go on. It's really important for us as adults to understand that 1 in 3 high school students have or will experience physical or sexual violence, or both, from their romantic partner. That's a lot, 30%, 1 in 3. So we need our kids to know that it's not because they're dumb, that it's not because they're bad, that it's not because they're unworthy, that it's because there are bad things in this world. And we want to protect our kids as much as we can, and we want to give them a safe space to land if something bad happens. They have actually invented now the teen power and control wheel to show the dynamics of how kids are exercising control over other kids. So, for instance, I had a girl who talked to me about her boyfriend wanted her to get involved sexually, and she was telling him no, and they were in the car, and he began to speed up and become very dangerous, telling her that he didn't know if they needed to live if she wasn't going to have sex with him. And so just that type of control. Or you did this silly thing, like for me when I was a kid in junior high, I saw the guy that I thought was so cute that I had a crush on, and he was sitting there and I was walking down, and I wanted to make sure to walk past him, except for I tripped and I fell down the aisle in the movie theater. And it was when it was slanted a little bit, and I just kept going. It was not good. But thank goodness nobody had a smartphone to record it and post it so that it had 5,000 views by the next day, right? But our kids are facing those kinds of things. They make a simple mistake, or they do something silly or dumb, and there it is online for people to view and to make fun of them and harm them. 12 to 19-year-olds are experiencing the highest rate of sexual assault. They're the ones that are the most at risk for that. Our 18 to 19-year-olds are the most at risk for stalking, and 1 in 3 adolescent girls have suffered abuse by a dating partner. So we need to be aware of that. You know, when I was growing up, there wasn't that awareness. My mom, my grandmother had no idea, even though they were very involved in my life. They had no idea what was happening. And so that's why part of why I want you to know tools and ways to look for things and how to talk to kids. So we want to make sure that we talk to them about some of the red flags for relationships to stay away from, but also what are the green flags? What are the yes things that they should be looking for in the people that they're choosing to connect with in close friendships, that they're walking with in life, that they're choosing to date or court or whatever that situation might look like in their life. So we want them to know positive, good things to look for, and also the things to stay away from and to watch out for. And let them have those conversations with us. This is our public service announcement that we have. It has some information that's based on cases of individuals that we've actually worked with. And the text thread that you're going to see in here is actual text messages that were exchanged between a young lady and a predator that she thought was her boyfriend.
I wanted you to stay after because I wanted to talk to you.
How did you misspell that word?
I wish you could be more like your sister.
You've gone from an A to a D in this class.
Ask your mother.
Go ask your father.
You're better than this.
You're not wearing that out of this house.
I know what you mean. My parents don't understand me either.
Do you have any idea how many calories are in that
You
cupcake?
really think you can play that sport? You're not athletic.
You look like a slob when you dress like
I
that.
need you to focus more in my class, like you used to.
I can see your belly.
You really need to give that up. You sound horrible.
Have you been talking to that guy you met online?
You are way too young to date.
He seems super nice.
What's wrong?
How old is he?
Is everything okay at home?
Not right now.
What kind of picture did you send him?
It says, great pick, so hot. We've got to meet, please. Hello, still there? Sorry, lots on my mind. What's up? You can talk to me. Parents, school, no one understands me. You can tell me anything, I'll listen. She sends a heart emoji. Come on, let's meet. I don't know, I hardly know you. You and me equals 24/7. Perfect. Pick you up after school tomorrow? I guess? I'm nervous. Don't be. I'll take care of you. Promise. XOXO. You're sweet. Tomorrow then? Tomorrow.
When's the last time you did see her?
Yesterday morning, before she left for school.
About 7:30. Look, it's been over 24 hours. Where is she? Have you heard anything?
This is an image that we pulled off of a known trafficking site.
What's that? It's not my little girl.
I'm afraid that it is, sir. This is a site where men go looking for young girls.
She's 12. She's never even had a boyfriend. What kind of animal would go looking for my little girl?
Okay, so you remember we talked about the exploitation of vulnerability, victims being manipulated through that exploitation because there are those desires and dissatisfactions. So often we have kids that are feeling maybe you heard some of those negative things that she was expressing, that she was hearing from family or friends. Even if we say 20 positive things, sometimes the only thing that sticks is the negative thing that we said, right? So we want to make sure we're giving lots of positive. Our kids have desires that haven't been met. They have dissatisfactions, and those can become vulnerabilities to be exploited. Desire to feel beautiful, handsome, loved, freedom from parents' rules, boyfriend or a girlfriend or relationship or a best friend, somebody who thinks I'm awesome. I need them in my life. Material things. For some kids, that's the latest and the greatest, the newest, most expensive. For some, that's a pair of shoes that somebody else hasn't worn before them, right? It really varies from person to person. Rules. Oh, my parents' rules are so lame. They don't even get it. Curfews? Why? Why would we do that? No one understands me. It's just not fair. So I'm going to share a little bit about a story from one of the young ladies that we have worked with. She asked me to show you this. Now, we're not going to show this online. So if you're online, you'll just have to see me right now. But she was considered the commander of the field. She was so good in sports. And at 11, recruiters were already coming to look at her for different sports teams. And then she met somebody online when she was 12 years old. And right before her 13th birthday, she ran away for the first time with this individual. Sometimes we can think of trafficking as being like kidnapping and this creepy white van, and somebody comes up and grabs a kid and throws them in it, and then they're chained to a radiator and they're just waiting for someone to rescue them. That is not what it usually looks like. It's usually someone that they have grown to know and trust that is now exploiting them. And so this beautiful young lady right here spent time in and out of her house, running away in and out of mental health care and hospitals and different situations. Her parents had no idea the magnitude of what was happening at all. And here's what she has asked us to share with you. She's been out of this life for a long time now. Her trafficker is serving 26 years in prison because she ended up running away that first time right after she turned 13. And she was finally recovered by the FBI in a sting 3 weeks before her 18th birthday. So here's what she wants us to understand. One bad decision can change someone's life. It changed her life. And she also wants us to understand evil comes nice. That guy, he was good looking. He had a nice car. He bought her gifts. He had money. He treated her like she was so much older and she was so beautiful. And he was the one that was praising her for that. And she came from a good home with 2 parents who love her, who had no idea why their daughter was suddenly such a mess and running away all the time and what was happening in her life. So she went from just being this kind of happy girl to ending up being pronounced dead on her 22nd birthday and then being revived. And so this is us, our whole team surrounding her. She had so many people who love her and are praying for her, and she still struggles with relationships and healing and feeling good. But look, she can go into this great place, that's Russ, who's with the kids right now, where they have Wi-Fi and feel safe. And she has a little bag right there that you can see that's keeping her alive when these pictures were taken. And we would always seek to find ways to bring healing and reduce shame and show her that she is loved and she is valuable and she is worthy. And this was at her baptism. And you can just see joy in her heart. But do keep praying for her and her family. The things that were done to her, she is approaching her time to meet Jesus face to face. And we're glad that she's had people who loved her. And we don't want to share that with you for fear. She's asked us to share her story with you. She wants her story to mean something because she thought she had control of it. She thought she knew what she was doing. She thought he loved her, and that was her boyfriend, and he meant everything to her. And it happens in that way. And it happens not just to girls, it happens to guys too. I mean, how do pimps and spotters lure in guys versus girls? The things that appeal to them, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It just matters that there is a vulnerability to be exploited, right? That exploitation of vulnerability is what it boils down to. Desires and dissatisfactions, trauma, struggles. There are spotters out there that actually get paid or that might get less, might have to sell themselves less, or be sold rather less if they spot new people to bring in. One of the young ladies that I worked with, she was in foster care. She was in a group home. They would go to a nearby park, and this woman befriended her and said, "You can call me Auntie," and would come and talk to her, and they became friends on social media. And she saw that the girl posted she had never received a Hallmark card, and so the next time she saw her at the park, she had a Hallmark card for her and wrote a cute little note in it and said, "Oh, sweetie, you don't need to be here in this foster care. This is terrible. You need to come home with me and my family. We'll take care of you." When she took her home to her family, when she ran away from her foster care group home, family was Daddy, who was the pimp, and all of the other victims that he was selling and exploiting. So where do you think spotters might hang out? Where our kids do, right? Wherever they are. School, mall, park, coffee shop, fast foods, places with Wi-Fi, movie theaters, bowling alleys, amusement parks, chat rooms. Now, does that mean that there is a trafficker hiding behind every bush or sitting in every McDonald's just waiting for a child to walk in? No, okay? It doesn't mean that. You don't need to freak out. Don't panic. It's okay. Some of you need to just take a breath. I know, because I do this all the time, but you have never maybe heard this before, and so you're like, what? Okay, again, we don't want to live in fear. This isn't about fear. This is about tools. This is about knowledge, because that knowledge becomes power, and we can make a difference, and we can help our kids by telling them the truth. And the truth is, social media can be awesome until it's not. Okay, it can be really wonderful, but we always tell our kids, don't accept just anyone. And adults, guess what I'm going to tell you? Don't accept just anyone, because it can really make a difference. We actually had a situation in my home church where I ended up having to call one of the pastors on staff because, pastors, they're like, ooh, maybe somebody is going to follow me and see this message of truth and it's going to change their life. So they just accept friend request from anybody. Well, there was a fleecing ring that was looking for people to bring into viewing their pornography so that they could purchase it. Well, he didn't even check. He just accepted the friend request. And then once you're there, then he could see who the other friends were commenting on the post and start sending them friend requests, because now I'm friends with the pastor. So I'm safe, right? And you can be my friend, and then people were accepting. But if you actually went to the site, it was, and then if you clicked on anything, it was taking it to pornography links. Okay, so I have another situation with a friend who just shared a great post on Facebook, and this guy came on and said, oh, your posts are so encouraging to me. We have a mutual friend, and please accept my friend request. And of course, I immediately clicked on it, and he had no public friends. He had just set up the account. He, the pictures, that I did a reverse image search. No, it wasn't him. It was one that's been used a lot. These pictures have. So you can't just trust what you see online, okay? So don't just accept anyone. And guys, be careful what you share about your kids for two reasons. One is because you don't know who's going to see it, because you're only as safe as your least safe friend on social media. That's how social media works. And here's the other thing. I've had kids come up and talk to me that are being bullied over what their parents shared on social media, or that are totally embarrassed or feel that their privacy has been, not guarded or cared about. So think about how it can impact those cute little stories that you tell your friends that are a little embarrassing for your kids. What if their friends from school see that story? How is that going to impact them? So think about those things, and if you don't know them, you don't know them. Don't accept friends just to grow the numbers, because it could be anyone. So we encourage you to keep things close. Some signs of a scammer. And this is more of like catfishing that we're seeing a lot with people coming on and getting in relationships really quick. They profess their love really quickly and promise future plans, and maybe haven't ever seen them in person. They ask a lot of details but provide little details about themselves, plan a video call or visit, but they always cancel because something. My phone broke, my camera doesn't work, I had an emergency, because they're really scamming. They don't want you to see their real face, so you're only going to see pictures. And then that can culminate into needing money for emergencies, surgeries for themselves or loved ones, travel, investment opportunities that they have. And so that happens not only to our kids, it happens to adults too. So part of what happens with our kids is grooming. Our friends at Bark is one of the safety resources that we recommend. We're going to give you a link at the end of the presentation where you can go on and get a lot of information about safety. Grooming is the process by which someone befriends and gains the trust of a child, and sometimes even the child's family, and then take advantage of the child for sexual purposes. And they accomplish this, and they are masters at manipulation. They can appear kind and helpful, maybe like mentors. Maybe they want to volunteer right here. Maybe they want to volunteer at the school. Maybe they're a coach. Maybe they're in a position. That's one of the things that Russ is stressing to the kids, is that because someone has a title or is in a certain building or has money or has a nice car or looks, together, doesn't mean that they're a safe, caring adult. What means that they're a safe, caring adult is how they interact with you. Are they trying to get the child to break rules, to have secret technology, to sneak out with them, or to do things that they shouldn't be doing? That's not a safe, caring adult, right? So Russ is talking with them about that. There are 6 stages that a groomer will go through, maybe not exactly in this order, but these 6 stages are the stages of grooming. Friendship forming stage, where they target and gain trust. Now, we had a situation with a young lady that I worked with where the guy who is now in prison, he owned a business in Lawrence, Kansas. He had been a college football player. He would gain the trust not only of the young women that he was exploiting through his club in Lawrence, but of the parents. So he would go in as the boyfriend, and he would say, "It's so nice to meet you, and I'm so excited about dating your daughter." And then he would come in and say, "Is everything okay? I've noticed she doesn't seem like she's doing really well. I caught her smoking pot. You know what? I found some cocaine that she has." Well, guess what? He was the one providing the pot and providing the cocaine. "Oh, she's been gone for a few days? Huh, I wonder where she is." Well, he had her sent to Springfield, Missouri, to be servicing clients because he has control over her, because he's exploited her vulnerabilities. And now when she disappears because he wants her to go, in this case, to an amusement park on a coast, gosh, she's been gone that long? But now they kind of expect it because he has groomed them to see the worst in their child, and that these things should be expected because of the life choices that she was making. And this was a pattern that he had. We ended up identifying 34 victims, and I was part of extracting 6 of those victims from his ring. So it's an issue that can happen. Relationships forming stage, where they are filling the child's or the family's need for something. Maybe that's rent, maybe it's car, maybe it's transportation, maybe it's friendship, maybe it's a scholarship. What is the need? Exploitation of vulnerability, right? Whatever that vulnerability is. Risk assessment stage, gauging the level of threat. So do your parents check out what you're doing online? Oh, do you have secret codes on your phone? What would happen if you didn't come home one night, right? They're assessing, because low-hanging fruit is the easiest route. They're not trying to go to jail. They're trying to exploit someone when they have the opportunity. Exclusivity stage, isolating the child from others. Man, your parents, are you kidding me? Are they psycho or what? I can't believe those are their rules. What? Why? That's not reasonable. You're so much smarter. They should know how smart you are, and they should trust you more, right? Whatever it is to put fuel on the fire, whatever that fire is for them, they're going to try to isolate the child from others. Sexual stage, desensitizing the child. That would start off maybe with comments, off-color jokes, seeing how they react. Maybe a touch here or a bump there, or showing images, pictures that are sexualized, which goes into videos that are sexualized, right? It depends on that child how much exposure that desensitization takes. The conclusion stage is controlling the child and the situation. So that can be a predator for personal purposes. It can be a predator who is a pimp and who ends up in this worst case exploitation of domestic minor sex trafficking. So here are some signs to watch for in your kids. Now, listen to me. This is like a picture of different signs that you're looking for, because one of these things is happening does not mean that your child has a predator in their life. It could just mean that they're having a bad day, okay? So wanting or asking to spend more time on the internet. Our kids typically want more than we want to give them, but if they are just really, really into it, it could be because they have someone that they're trying to connect with that could be problematic. Being secretive about the sites that they're visiting or who they're talking to online or who they're texting with. You notice that there are people in their phone or on their list that you don't know, that you've never met before, that they suddenly shut things down, or a lot of different things like that. Switching screens when you come near them if they're on their computer or on their phone. Having new items that you haven't given them. You don't know how they got that new Coach purse. How did you go get your nails done? You got highlights in your hair? Where did that tattoo come from? You know, we don't know what it's going to be or what it's going to look like, but these are things that we need to be watching for, especially as patterns. Using sexual language more comfortably, especially that you wouldn't expect them to be using, that's not age appropriate, that's out of the realm of what they should know about. Hearing them use that. So here's the thing, is once you get to this place, a parent is no longer arguing with their child, they're arguing with the fantasy that their child has about that person who has groomed them. And that's why it can be so difficult to get people out of the life, because we have what's called trauma bonding. Some of you may know that as Stockholm Syndrome, when someone has gained your trust and now the loyalty is there, even though that person is causing them harm. But I love him, I love her, you know, they're helping me, they're gonna do this, but I have to, or I love them and I want to, and it's not that big of a deal anyway, it's just a body. They have these fantasy ideas of what's going to come out of it. Maybe they're going to be famous or rich or have a beautiful family or get the sports star or get the sports scholarship. But that reality ends up being nothing like the fantasy. Like our young lady, what did she say? Evil comes nice. It looked really good. When he was making the promises and he was coming at her, it looked really good, but it wasn't. And our kids are in a society now where texting and sexting is like the thing. It's the new way to flirt. I'm sorry to tell you that. But, you know, we've actually had girls that have been crying and sad because no one is asking them for nudes. No one's asking them for hot pics. I'm not popular. Nobody even wants a picture of me. That's the new shame that they're dealing with. And so being aware of what our kids are facing. So we need to be patient with our kids, right? We need to be available for our kids. Be that person they can talk to. You will happily, well, maybe not happily. You will stay up at 3 a.m. with that child that has a fever and is sick, right? Not happily, but you'll do it because you love them and they need you. But that preteen or that teen that's having a rough day at school and they want to talk now at 10 o'clock when you're trying to get in bed and you want them to get in bed because they have to get to school tomorrow or because you have this or because you had a long day, it's just important to sit and listen to them as it is to tend to that sick child with a fever, okay? So we want to remember that as parents and have grace also for ourselves. There are no perfect parents, you guys, and so we have to be careful that we don't get on that condemnation side, right? That we're lifting ourselves and each other up and our kids, and that they understand the consequences that people can harm them by having those images, that if they are possessing images of other underage kids, that can be illegal. And particularly if they're disseminating pictures of someone other than themselves to other people, that is the distribution of pornography. We did a presentation in a school where a young girl came up afterwards and said, this stuff you're talking about, this is happening to me. That high school boy over there is doing this to me and his friends, and they started investigating it, and 3 kids from that school, 3 boys from that high school ended up being arrested that week. These are kids that are now going to have that arrest record, right? And what they need is help to understand. And when we tell them the truth, they come up. We've had kids come up and say, I have this addiction. I'm doing this thing that I don't want to do anymore. Please help me. And we're finding that our kids are wanting to change those patterns and those behaviors once they understand what it is that they're involved with. This is an example of sexting and how it can impact a life. Can you guys see that? Okay.
District officials say they've discovered a large number of nude photos on the students' phones. Hundreds of students, male and female, could be charged with felony child pornography.
2 teenagers now facing felony charges over a sexting scandal.
Sharing naked pictures on their cell phones like trading baseball cards.
These photos are often forwarded from friend to friend.
People that just receive it and aren't even asking for it, it's really not
Hundreds
right.
of students, both boys and girls, could face felony charges.
They're facing felony charges plus a misdemeanor. They're facing the felony of promoting the sexual performance of a child.
They could follow you for the rest of your life, and they're not thinking about that.
No, they don't see that.
They don't think about it. It's become very normalized, and we're finding that kids kind of tend to fall into 2 groups. They fall into the, it's no big deal, that's just how you interact. You send hot pics, that's how you, sorry, got it. There we go. Okay, that's how you flirt, that's how you just, that's just what you do. And then we have another group of kids that are like, well, that's how you know when you really love someone, because you trust them enough that you send them that photo. And if you don't send them the photo, then you don't really love them or really trust them. And that's kind of the 2 camps that we're seeing our kids fall into with this issue of sending these sexually explicit messages, photos, videos, primarily between cell phones, also on social media. And why are they doing it? They're surrounded with it. They're seeing it all the time in this society that we're in. And this is an actual person, Jessie Logan. Her parents shared her story because she did that. She sent the picture to the boyfriend. The boyfriend was like, Jessie, if you love me, you'll send me that picture. You can trust me. It's okay. And he did. And after they broke up, guess who he shared it with in the school? All the girls. Ladies, why with the girls? Because they were mean about it, right? And he knew that they would be. And so this led to a depression. And one night, Jessie's dad walked in and said, hey, sweetie, dinner. But there was no dinner for Jessie that night or again, because she felt like the only way she could deal with this was to die by suicide. And again, this isn't about fear. This is about understanding how deep this is for our kids, and that it has to be so important to us as caring adults to step into that gap. And we want to be the ones fighting it with them. Kids don't realize that 88% of images that are sexually explicit are stolen or shared. They're uploaded from locations and shared. That means they have less than a 12% chance that image is not going to go out there. And it's not just kids that this happens to, it happens to adults as well. 13% of sexting teens report a suicide attempt in the last year, compared with only 3% of kids who aren't sexting. Okay? And if you have a handout there, it tells you what we're finding. We've spoke to over 53,000 students, and we're finding out how many of them are viewing pornography, are sexting, and are at risk. It doesn't just happen to girls, it happens to boys too. Well, okay. My video is not there, but this young football player sent a picture, and then it shows them getting on the bus, and it's just giving an idea of how down the road friends can see it, or family members, or siblings, or grandma. He says, Nana? Oh, no. And then it shows a female trafficker who saw the picture and said, my clients are going to love you. That's how the video ends. So we're always talking to each other and to our kids particularly about respect. Respecting ourselves, respecting others, giving respect, getting respect, right? And how important that is in life, that they keep this rhythm of safety. So don't communicate with strangers online. Parents, grandparents, youth leaders, we need to be setting that example for our kids. If we're communicating and making friends all the time with people we don't really know, what example are we setting? Think about that. Don't meet someone that you've only met online in person is one thing that we really emphasize with our kids, because we're having kids go out and meet online. I had a mom the other day that was talking to me about taking her son to meet a friend that he met on Snapchat. And so I was like, oh, okay. All right then. So we had a conversation about that. We also expressed to our kids how important it is, don't take nude or partially nude pictures of yourself or of anyone ever. Don't share them anywhere ever. If someone sends an image, most of the time our kids don't know what to do. They're like, oh, I got this image. Oh, okay. Well, I'm just going to delete it. Or I'm going to go around and go, look what I got. Look what I got. Look. And show it to everybody else. Okay, that's not what we want to do. So block the sender, save the evidence. Don't delete it. They're being taught. Come tell a caring adult so that it can be reported. Because here's what we're finding. When those reports go in, law enforcement can start connecting the dots, and then they can find that predator or that pervert or that pimp, right? It helps them. Every report that they get helps them get closer to identifying that person. So block it, save it, report it, always. Make sure that you can teach your kids that. Block it, save it, report it. Be emphasizing that with them. Russ is talking to them about that. We want to help our kids and friends be safer. Went to a little bitty town in Hoisington, Kansas. Anybody ever heard of it? We had a young lady come up after the presentation. All this stuff you're talking about, this is me. It's happening to me. Here's my device. Help me. Russ called the Kansas Bureau of Investigation. They started checking it out. They've now identified 13 victims. Does this look like a really cute 16-year-old boy? No, but guess what? The picture he was sending all the girls to get the hot pics, really cute 16-year-old boy. He was their boyfriend for each of them, all right? Now he's in jail. And this is the difference that it can make. This girl who thought all these bad things about herself, names that we won't even say that she was thinking about herself and maybe even being called, right? She realized, I'm not alone. Oh, I've been tricked. I'm going to tell somebody. And she did, and she got help. And because that one little girl was that brave to come forward, there are 12 other victims who were helped as well. And so we really can make a difference, and our kids do respond to the truth when we tell them the truth, which is really important. Now, this has all been really intense, so this is my puppy. This is Frank. Frank wanted me to give him respect and let him drive. I did not let him drive. We were not moving. That was in my park. That was in the driveway. I just want you to know. No puppies were harmed in the making of this photo. So look at this little guy. Isn't he so cute? I know, Frank. Oh, Frank. He has his own hashtag. And he's often waiting. He's like, you want to play? Want to play? Here's my favorite toy. Let's play. But sometimes he gets a little crazy, right? And occasionally, who knows what that is? That's a sprinkler head. Frank was positive it was going to blow up our house, so he dug it out of the backyard and brought it into the kitchen for us so that it couldn't hurt us. Right? I know. And I guess he was listening to Crown Ministry. He's like, Mommy, you shouldn't have that credit card. It's bad. You don't need that thing. But look at him. Look at those eyes. In the first picture with the sprinkler, he's like, look what I brought you. In this picture, he's like, oh, I've been bad. Right? We have to feed him special food. He got hit by he didn't get hit by a car. He hit a car. He ran into it while it was moving. And that was like lots of money at the vet. But guess what? We still love him. And we still kept him. And here's what we want our kids to know is that if we can love a pet that much, right? How much more do we love our kids? How valuable are they? They have been knit together by the creator of the universe, and we love and adore them, and they need to know that instead of, oh my gosh, my parents are going to kill me, like, oh no, I need to call mom and dad. Right? We want them to be running to us. Now, they're not always going to do that. That's the reality. Russ is going to be talking about having 5 people in your life that you trust, that your child can talk to, because sometimes you're not the one they're going to talk to. All of mine are past the statute of limitations. My youngest one will be 23 this year. Our oldest is 35. I've heard a lot of stories I didn't know when they were growing up now. So make sure they have other safe people in their life to talk to, right? If someone tells you about sexual abuse or trafficking is revealed, please, please, please believe them. It is so uncommon for somebody to make up anything like this at all. Acknowledge their bravery. If it's your child, it can be really hard. This is the time for the poker face, and later, well, maybe what do we call that? We don't play poker. Maybe we do. I don't know if you do or not. But this is the time to be calm, to be collected, and to listen. If you start freaking out, melting down, they're going to shut down, okay? Now, sometimes it's hard, especially if it's our own kids, but encourage them to know that it's not their fault, that they have been so brave to talk to you, that you are so thankful, and that you are there for them. Remain calm. Don't pressure them to share more information. Don't try to fill in blanks. Just listen to what they will share with you. If there's going to be a legal case, it's especially important that you're not pressuring for more information, that you're not filling in the blanks at all. I have had that situation. I was a foster parent and had 7 placements, and it is really important that we give them a space. I just gave a journal to the young lady so that she could, that's my almost time to stop talking alarm. It's hard for me. My husband says he's going to get me a shirt that says, "Help, I'm talking and I can't shut up." In love, of course, yes. Okay, so when we think about reporting, it used to be that police would not take certain reports, and now they are, because they're realizing the patterns of predators and pimps and perverts. So adult grooming child for inappropriate relationship online, adults requesting nude pictures from children, a minor being sent nudes by an adult, minor being sextorted or blackmailed into sending images, a minor being provided nudes to another minor who maliciously distributed them or for profit distributed them. They have plans to meet in person with someone that they only know online. They've already met in person with somebody. They do online video sex or any thought of potential trafficking. Those are the types of things that we want to let our law enforcement know about. They would rather hear from you about something that ends up being nothing than not hear from you about somebody who is being victimized. Okay, our friends in law enforcement want you to know that. There are some indicators of sex trafficking that you can notice. The primary thing that we have seen with most victims is property type tattoos. We're not talking about cute little flowers or butterflies. We're talking about men's names, dollar signs, things that indicate property. Well, I won't share what it said, but we've just seen a lot of different ones. Russ is coming in now. Does he have all the youth? All right. All right, so we're going to, you can get this information off of our website, okay? And this is really important for us to know about. You have the youth with you, Russ? They're back there? Okay. We're just wrapping up. My 5-minute alarm went off. Okay, so we just want to make sure that our teens are not becoming product to be sold, right? And that they can understand the impact of technology and that pornography can have, and the lies that come from pornography and what it tells us about individuals and makes kids believe. And so we know early exposure is the most problematic. That leads to addiction, desensitization, escalation, which can come into acting out. And so it's really important for us to recognize that this is actually addictive and changes the brain chemistry and rewires it for wanting more, and that we help our kids or any individuals, because maybe there's somebody sitting here in this room or you know someone that's struggling with that addiction. We want people to understand that this is not a hopeless situation, that you are not worthless, you're not broken, that there is hope for you. And we have seen kids get into counseling and get help and break free from this. I know adults who have come clean and told the truth and went and received help and are living in a way that's shame-free now. So we have some tools for you that we will share here as Russ comes up. We want you to get the app. There's a QR code on the handout that's there right beside you. And you can text TP for the Stop Trafficking Project to our number to receive safety tips and event information as well. So Russ is going to come on up here with the kids. Well, they're coming somewhere. Here comes Russ Tuttle.
You guys love September? Is she awesome? Okay, so we have a surprise for all of you adults, okay? So, students, 3, 2, 1. Here they come, all right, woo! Over here, guys, over here. Where are you going? Angelo led them astray. Do you have a clicker? Some of you heard of it. They said we are happy. All right, so students, you need to kind of find a place amongst the adults over here to kind of hang out, or like, can you guys all hear out there? Can you see okay? All right, so CrossPoints, our students are the best. No, you can do better than that for our kids. Our students are the best. I'm just saying. Yeah, okay, that's better. Now we're in a place to be. I've got some top 10 suggestions that I want students and adults to hear together. The first one is this. Parents, you've heard a lot of stuff tonight. Don't live in fear. Be wise. We just talked to students about this. God's not given us a spirit of fear, but a power and love, of sound mind, self-discipline. The Message translation says, be sensible. We talked a lot about being sensible with some things we're doing online. The other thing for you as adults, all the parents in the room, if you're a parent, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I promise to be my child's parent, not their best friend. Students, it is not your parents' job to give you everything you want. It is not their job, students, to be your best friend. I know that sounds kind of weird. God's given these adults to you. Okay, so on the count of 3, say what you said when you came in again, because you guys are way down the hall. We couldn't really hear you. Okay, you guys did awesome. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. We are half brains. Okay, now that's not a derogatory thing. We're not making fun of your students. And students, we unpack this, right? God's design is that the human brain is not done growing till you're 25 years old. I'm sure you unpack this for them. Students, we've agreed to this. It's not a put down. It's God's design. When your students are going through their half-brain phase of life, God has placed you in their lives to be their parents, to give them boundaries, to lead them, guide them. Quit trying to be their best friends. Don't ever say, not my kid. Not my kid. Big window perspective. We're asking God to give us big window wisdom, big window perspective. This is the most tragic thing that people say. And can I ask you guys, and students, I'm going to ask you students out there to hold these adults accountable for their online lives. How's that work? Okay? Does that sound good? Okay, so students out there, you're going to watch these adults and make sure that they're not doing stuff that they're saying, well, you shouldn't do this. And like, well, why? You spend 9 hours a day on Facebook. Ooh, Russ is stepping on toes tonight. Here's the thing. So for us as adults, so there's this generational thing happening. Some of us, most of you guys here seated, you have your life, and then you have some things you do online. There's a generation, and these students know a lot of students like this, where it's all one. And here's what I want you guys as parents to be praying about. Too many of our students have friends, and maybe some of them are struggling with this themselves. Their self-esteem is found in how many shares and likes they get, not in the person of Jesus Christ and the work he's doing in their life. And so one of the things for us to be praying as parents over our kids is God give them Christ esteem so their self-esteem is actually appropriate. And students, we mentioned this briefly down in XSM. You are more valuable than your tweets and your Instagrams and your shares and your likes. You are more valuable. Now remember, students, the enemy is like that roaring lion, prowling, lurking, okay? Hiding behind apps. Doesn't mean we're against apps, doesn't mean we're against technology. Develop a plan and be consistent, parents. So on our website, there's about 80-some pages of free material, gives you all kinds of help. I would start with this one. There's a cell phone contract on there. So practical. Isn't it amazing how some of the spiritual things we do are very practical? A cell phone contract. Students, ask your parents tonight to get you a cell phone contract. You're like, right, sure, I'll get right on that, dude. Like, we're standing over here pretending like we like this, but we really don't like anything you're saying right now. So here's the thing. So remember how we talked about students, we've got to have this accountability level. So here's what this does for you students. You get to hold your parents or the caring adult or the guardian in your life accountable just as much as they hold you accountable. It's a two-way contract. And it's a practical tool that we can use to help each other. Parents, you are not invading your kids' privacy. When you look at their device, you own it. You're paying the bill. It's yours. So students, I want you to hear something. Your parent, the adults in your life, it's their device. They have the right to come into wherever you keep your device and look at it anytime they want to. And if you by chance have a fake account and you have changed one letter of your name so we can't find it, I'm going to ask God to reveal that to your parents and put a spiritual hedge of protection around you. We're not against you. We are for you. There's two messages we want you students to understand tonight. We are not against you. That's number one. We are for you. The foundation of that is, generationally here, we don't really always get everything and understand what you're doing online. In your half-brain stage of life, and it's not a put-down, it's God's design, let the trusted adults in your life lead and guide you in appropriate ways. Number 6, for some of you that have younger kids, start young. It's easier to teach this than unteach it. As they get older, you're just going to have to kind of ask God to give you wisdom, and you're going to have to kind of pick your battles to win this war. Listen to me. Get away from this mentality. These kids these days, can't believe these kids these days are doing. No. Big window perspective. God's design is for you to lead and guide with compassion. Sometimes you got to be that velvet wrapped brick to bring the discipline. But that's not where you camp. You're only as safe online as your stupidest friend online. Truth. Okay? So adults, let's model that for our students. Show them your friends, will show you your future. I told the students this down at XSM not that long. I did a student assembly, and this teenage girl walked up to me, and there was about 800 kids in the auditorium, and she could have walked out of there, and I would have never known this kid existed, but she had a point to make. Ultimately, it was a cry for help. I just want you to know I am super safe online, Mr. Tuttle. Okay. Cry for help. She could have walked out of the auditorium. Took about 15 minutes to figure out the 11 different apps she's using. The guy she was talking to was from Morocco. Now, some of the kids didn't know where Morocco was. I won't ask adults if you know where it is. It's in northern Africa. Super safe online. It's a cry for help. So here's the thing, parents. Understand this reality. And then we want you to apply those 3 words. It's all about the exploitation of vulnerability. And then finally, we want you to be alert. And here's what we're doing. We really, truly believe, and our team is so honored and humbled to have the opportunity to step into a ministry that is so unique and so dark. And it's with God's direction, we really feel like he birthed the vision to end it before it starts and then give us a strategy. And the strategy is really simple. It's to encourage individuals and organizations and churches to be alert. And it just seems to me we're going to be active, learning, empowered, relentless together. Very simple. It's a place to start. And so what we want you to do is right now grab your phones. Students, grab your phones. See, we're not against phones, not against technology. So if you are willing to take this pledge and you say, I would like to do that, I promise you, you're not going on a finance list. Okay, we don't do that. We're not coming after you for money. I promise you. This is the easiest way to get to our website. Okay, so if you take your phone out right now and you text the word "be alert," and students, you can do this too, to this number 833-321-0219. So text "be alert" to 833-321-0219. And adults, it's on all the material that's sitting there with you as well. Okay, so if you're having trouble seeing the screen, you can text it from there as well. What it'll do is it'll get you information to our website where we have all of those free items. And we also have an app that you can use. And the app is called the Stop Trafficking app. And on this app, there's a ton of videos and a ton of resources for you to help your students. And students, feel free to download this app as well. You can go onto the website. It's got hotlines and support numbers. It's got a bunch of videos. And it's got a lot of tools that are very helpful. You heard this cola cockroach story. I just unpacked this for the students. I was in India. I was drinking a cola product. I ended up with a dead cockroach in my mouth. Just so you know, it's disgusting to have a dead cockroach in your mouth. The teachable moment is this. Drinking cola is okay a little bit. Too much is bad for you. What we talked about down the student centers, I actually held up an old bottle of Thumbs Up from India. Too much of that versus this. Here's what a lot of students are dealing with, and might I say a lot of adults. Pretend like this is the thumbs up. Too much, not enough. A lot of our students are very easily distracted online, the internet, and after 9 hours of what the world puts in, and then 30 seconds of living water. And that's adults. Man, Russ, you're just a ton of fun tonight. So the reason we're unpacking this in this manner is to help us understand that we really truly feel like God is raising up a standard amongst his people. And it is exciting to see. I'm finding students willing to go on 2-week fasts from all things electronic. So students out there, I'm double, triple, quadruple dog daring you to at some point this summer, or maybe start sooner, take a 2-week break from all things electronic. And tell me if you're not sleeping better, if you're not happier, if you don't have a better appetite, if you don't have more energy. And let's see what God does in your life. It's an amazing challenge. We get done with school assemblies, and we have kids yell, "Not in my life, not in my school, not in my future," and then they yell "cola cockroach" because it's a memorable thing. And that's how I'm known as the cockroach guy to about 56,000 students. It's really great. And so do we have sound on this, Drew? So here's the video here. So this is an example we used Sunday morning, if you were here, if you saw the video, and the next day after that assembly, a girl came up, or within an hour after the assembly, a girl came up, and she said, "There's a cockroach in my life." And the next day, this guy was arrested and in jail on $1.3 million bond. Here's another school I want to show you. This is a group of 7th and 8th graders. And just to give you perspective of how the enemy of our souls is roaring like a lion, 3 7th grade boys received a message from Sarah online. And they wanted revenge pictures of one of the girls in the school. So 3 7th grade boys used their phones and they took upskirt pictures of the girl in the school. And they sent them to Sarah. Sarah, it turns out, was the boys' Boy Scout troop leader, an adult male in his 50s. This is how I know what I'm doing, students. Big window perspective with God's wisdom is maybe not. The little kids, this is really fun. So obviously our presentations to little kids is totally different, but this is the goal of our ministry is throughout the state of Kansas, Missouri. Our big goal is this: if a student is in the same school district, kindergarten through 12th grade, they will experience what our ministry offers in their community 3 times. Once in elementary, once in middle school, junior high, and once in high school, to see a God-designed impact in their lives. And our hope is that they will be as enthusiastic as these kids by the time they get to high school. This kid in the front row I thought was going to give himself a hernia. So here's what's awesome. We're going to make a CrossPoints video now because here's what. Okay, so I got 3 churches to show you. One's Fellowship Bible Church in Topeka. Okay, this is them. We can beat that. Is this not on autoplay, maybe? Okay, there's a large church, but I think we got loud mouths in here. I think we can do better than this, okay? So here is, what's the next one, September, do you remember? The Rock Church, up North Kansas. The Rock Church, KC. Acapella. Yeah, kind of lacking energy, right? Yeah, kind of not so good. And the last one's Antioch, okay? All right, we got some down. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna stand. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the foyer out there, so we have room. And then here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have the pastors of this church, students. We're gonna gather around you. We're gonna pray for you. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna do this video. We're gonna yell, "Not in my life, not in my church, not in my future." We're gonna yell, "Cola cockroach." Y'all are gonna make amazing vomit sounds. Okay, it's gonna be awesome. We're making a point, and then we're going to gather around you students, and we're going to pray. Because the ultimate thing we're dealing with all the tangible tools we've given you tonight, is this is spiritual warfare. And so we want our students to understand we are not against you, we are for you. Okay, so students, get out there, and I want you guys front and center. And then adults, we're going to come in behind them, and we're going to do the video. So students face what used to be the water fountain wall, and we're going to get a video that direction. So adults, if you guys would follow right behind. And adults, I'm just going to ask you guys to pretend like you're the age of your kid, okay? And have a good time with this.